Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 128 of the Holding Kourt podcast. Today, we are kicking off our fantasy football seasons. We're chatting how to decide team loyalty, and we'll share our experience with this year's trade deadline. All coming up right now on Holding Kourt.
Bum 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 bum.
Hello, hello.
Well, hello there.
In the words of Stained, it has been a while. I won't sing, but we're back. I'm just here proving to moms everywhere that you can just do it all. You don't have to compromise. You can still shoot for the stars with a baby.
It has been a while, but for a good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone knows we've had a big change in the middle of the season, and literally our stuff just got here.
We had a big change. We had our son, and on July 4th, our little 4th of July baby, we'll save that. I'm curious if people want to hear the birth story. I know some people have been like, please tell me everything. And then other people are like, oh, great, he's here. Wonderful. So I'm curious. So let us know if you want us to do an episode on our experience, and especially our experience having a baby in Canada, which is, I guess, not vastly different than the States, but things were different from what I've heard. Obviously, I don't have anything to go off of, so it was our own experience. But I'm curious if people want to know what that was like and what we went through.
I'm sure we have some Canadian listeners, but I think the majority probably are curious.
Yeah.
So they can compare.
Yeah.
What maybe some of the differences were.
Yeah.
So,
like instead of an epidural, they just give you a glass of maple syrup.
Right.
And
it
they're
numbs
like,
your whole body. It is wild.
Let's hype you up for this.
Oh my God.
Let's go. No, it was great, but he's here. Bo Jordan. I'll let everyone think about where the names came from. Some people know.
It was funny when we announced them and people were trying to figure it out. And
yeah,
I'm not going to say some of the false narratives that came out because those might be some people's guesses, but
yeah, no, we will, we'll do, if we get some good feedback, we'll do an episode on him and his name and the whole situation. It was great. Everything's wonderful. He's great. He's very chill, and obviously he's not screaming, crying right now and allowing us to do this episode.
Not yet.
So
not yet.
Knock on wood. I know you never brag about a chill baby or a sleeping baby or anything like that, because things change on a dime, but yeah, very grateful and good to be back. I feel like I missed everyone. I posted a video about Kourt Furniture, who helped us with our furniture rental in Seattle here, and the podcast equipment was set up, and it was a little Easter egg, and I had some people say, ooh, does that mean we're getting a new episode soon? So they were right. You all know it takes me a while to get settled and get ready and do the episode. And so I feel like setting up the equipment for that Reels kind of pushed me a little bit over the line.
Kick in the butt.
Yeah, we're here. We have to talk about fantasy football because it started this week, and I was in 3 leagues last year. Didn't know if that was going to happen this year with a new team, and I'm in 3 leagues again. So I can't quit it. I am in my friend's league. It is the 13th year, which is wild. The Buffalo Wings are in a good spot going into the season. They're in a terrible spot. I have my baseball wives kind of OG friends league. Again, 2nd year, we upped the stakes a little bit. I won't share the buy-in, but it's getting pretty juicy in there.
It's a little intense.
Girls are getting fired up. And then I am in the Mariners League, which is great that they're doing that. I will, like, not to pat myself on the back, but like in a roundabout way, I feel like I inspired.
Kind of came full circle.
Yeah, because Sarah Garver is our commissioner, and she was with the Rangers last year where Maddie Seeger started a league. Like to think I helped further the ladies along and starting. I think every team should have one, because starting with the Mets, every team you've been on has had one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was insightful. Okay. So
no, every team does it. I've never been on a team that doesn't do a fantasy league. So
yeah, it's, I feel like there's varying levels of like intensity on different teams, right? Or different years, I guess. Sometimes you guys do it a little bigger than.
Yeah, the buy-ins fluctuate. I think the biggest, the toughest part every year before the draft is electing a president or someone to run the league, because nobody wants to actually run the league. So
See, I love running the league, but I just like making things happen. I feel like if I didn't do it, I don't know. It's like, it's a thankless job for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. No one likes to collect money. I'm happy to be the banker. I'm happy to hunt people down. I do it when we do like playoff shirt orders and different things, girls trips. Like I'm used to that. It's fine. And just making things happen. I'm happy to help people learn how to do it. I'm happy to convince girls why they should do it. So yeah, I'm fine with that role.
Commissioner's a tough gig.
Yeah.
No matter what league you're in.
Commissioner with a K. You guys, did you do a lot, like a actual live draft this year? Or were you using the platform, like the ESPN or the Yahoo?
So we did both. We are on ESPN for the Mariners League, and you had to submit your pick online or you would miss it and it would auto draft for you. But we also had a couple of our young pups in the room with a board, and they were putting all the stickers up. So
okay. We did a sticker one for the Mariners League.
It's kind of the tradition, you know, you do the draft, you get a room, you cater food and drinks, and you have at least a couple of the rookies come in. They sang the national anthem.
I love that.
So we all stood up for the anthem, and then they worked the sticker board the whole night. So, and a few guys popped in and out. The different thing about the Mariners than other teams is the Mariners have a players league, which actually there is our clubhouse guys are in the players league, but they also have a coaches league. So our players draft was happening on the 4th floor and the coaches draft was happening on the 3rd floor at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So it was a little dry. It was a little empty in the draft room this year. Not as much crap talking and whatnot, because usually the coaches are in there or stopping by because they want to eat and have drinks too, and it gets a little chirpy. But it was a little barren in the draft room this year.
I know in LA, like the clubbies had a team, and then front office had teams, which like they're used to the building of teams and creating rosters and all that. But no, that's cool. I think it's a good bonding thing. You guys wore your jerseys. You guys have done it bigger in the past where the first round, right? You had jerseys of the player ordered, or you had hats.
I tried to get Fanatics to send jerseys, but I asked too late. So they were like, we would have totally done it, but we don't have enough lead time or leeway. So with getting traded over here and trying to just figure out how to get into the league.
I know. Were you kind of poking around like, do you guys do a fancy league, or did they, do you think someone said no and then you were a late ad, or no, you got here early?
No, there was I think Crawford put up a sheet on the board and was like, hey, sign up. First 12 names on there are in.
Oh, I love that. That's like very high school, like signing up to like do some like volunteering or all that. That's cool.
No, but yeah, I tried to get the jerseys. That didn't work out. In the past, we've had New Era has sent hats for all the teams. So if you take, Christian McCaffrey, first pick overall, you walk up. Well, we don't walk up and put the sticker on because we have the rookies doing it, but you walk up and you grab the 49ers hat, and then usually there's a Christian McCaffrey jersey. So
you have like a Roger Goodell announce it.
Yeah. So we didn't have that this year, so I kind of dropped the ball on that. I'll take full responsibility for that one.
Yeah, how dare you not come through with that? No, the stickers it's a daunting task. I love the picture at the end, and I love seeing, and then you realize, oh shit, I drafted 4 wide receivers in like the first few rounds and my entire board is one color. But I like the sticker board idea. It does take a while, and we've tried to do it one year where you did the stickers while you were picking, and it was just too chaotic, and it was fine.
We did have one
do it at the end.
We did have Matt Brash, who's on the IL here in the league. We drafted on the road, so he wasn't with us. So as we were going around picking, everyone would select on the computer, and then they would say, I just drafted Tyreek Hill. I just drafted, Christian McCaffrey. So the guys working the board were just going like team by team. but Matt Brash wasn't in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd make his pick. No one would say anything. And then the next guy would pick. So the stickers kept getting messed up because no one was announcing Matt Brash's pick. So the wrong guy.
No.
Yeah. So we had to clean that one up after about 4 rounds. It kept happening. So
no, it's a tall task. And how did you guys decide your draft order this year?
So one of our bullpen guys, Champ is his nickname, what everyone calls him, went in the cage, and we have like the hit tracks, which basically like when you hit, it tells you how far it goes. So they randomly assigned 12. They picked the order randomly, like 12 balls, right?
Yeah.
And then he took 12 swings, and according to, whatever swing you were matched up with, however far you hit the ball, that was your distance. And the furthest distance got the first pick of the order, not necessarily the first pick of the draft. You got to decide where you wanted to pick.
Okay.
And then so on and so forth. So Champ did that for us.
Would you always, because I offered that up in our league, and it just ended up being whoever had first pick just chose first. Because I guess if you pick first, you can obviously pick whoever you want in the first round. But then I'm assuming you did a snake order.
We did a snake. I actually had the second choice. And my kind of philosophy was the top 4 players are all pretty much the top 4 players. I mean, you're not going to lose with any of them, right?
Unless they're hurt.
So I had the second choice, and I picked the 4th pick, and I just figured I would take the last one standing of them and then have the higher pick on the way back. That was my philosophy. Yeah. We'll see how it works.
I know the snake is tough because if you get first, like you have, how many teams do you have? 10 or 12? 14?
12.
14's a lot. Yeah. You got to wait a while. It's really lonely waiting for that to come back and get you.
And then it's like bang bang. You have back-to-back picks, and then
it's very frantic. We, for our Mariners draft order, Sarah's son picked names out of a dump truck, like a toy dump truck, and I was last.
Yep.
So I don't like not having control in my and we've really never done anything where it's in our hands. Like we've drawn out of a hat. We've done
balloons.
Yeah, like put numbers in a balloon or something on a board and then throw darts, like that sort of thing. And then in our OG Wives League, we were racking our brain, and then Chase was wanting to do a 40-yard dash for our dogs. But like Kristen Turner's like, I don't have a dog. Like, can I use Trey, or can I do whatever?
Can I use Trey?
No, I just mean like, she didn't say that.
Well, Trey would win. Okay.
You think Trey would outrun Chase and Cody's Doberman Pinscher?
I don't know.
That's a tough one. I'd love to see that.
I don't know.
I actually would love to see that. I actually think Moon is like, she's little, so her stride is short, but like she'd be easily like top 3.
She's top speed in one step.
100%.
Like, it doesn't take her any time to get going.
But I don't know. I think does it take her a minute to kind of open up? We've had her run at the stadium before.
She's 0 to 100 in the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
But
would she go? Yeah.
Like,
but Doberman, like that's what, 4 of her steps.
Yeah.
Is Doberman.
Moon's taken 4 full strides to.
We need to adjust for height. It was whatever. So.
Right.
Needless to say, that idea never got off the ground. We did see Junior's submission for it. It was lovely, but we didn't end up doing it. And so I had the idea of doing a beer pong tournament. I guess it was water pong. Virtually? I don't know. Maybe it wasn't for some people. Virtually. So we all jumped on a FaceTime. We're all there watching, and everyone threw 20 balls, because I thought, okay, let's everyone throw 10. And then I thought there's going to be too many ties. So everyone threw 20, and then we ranked from there. And if there were any ties, you threw additional 10. Some people tied, but then the next 10, we just ranked like top 3 for that. And it actually ended up working fine. I think I was, what was I, third?
Third, I think.
Third, yeah.
Well, you had a tie, and then you had a
Yeah.
shoot off. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was fun. There was a lot of shit talking. There was a lot of like elbow over the line. Like there was a lot, like I made everyone have a tape measure and do the full, I think it's 65 inches or whatever is like the full official long distance, but it was fun. And we decided next year, we think we're going to do a girls trip and do our draft order. We're going to take it on the road and do the full. I know you've probably seen the TikTok or the reels of the guys that go to like the Dominican Republic and do the full draft trip. So we talked about that, and we would do like a full Olympics of the situation. Like we would pickleball, like a round of golf. We would have maybe like do this
beer pong.
Yeah, beer pong, do this like word search in
Flip
like
cup.
a certain amount of time or whatever it is. So just different, a real decathlon, or I don't know what it would be, but I think that would be fun and hilarious. So I don't know. I think that's part of the fun. I love an active league. I hate like when you do a league and no one's like in the chat, like on Sunday, like I'm like, is anyone watching the games? Let's go. So I feel like our leagues are pretty good about that. And
Well, what about our other league? How did you determine order?
Oh, yes. So I went on Cameo because it was kind of down to the wire. And I went on Cameo and I was trying to think who is a pop culture icon that our age group would recognize just right out the gate. And so I did a $20 cameo for William Hung. If you guys remember him, how do you not?
Idol.
From American
Hello.
Idol. His stunning rendition of She Bangs, and he is just cranking out cameos. I sent him all the names. I said, do a random order. I don't know how he picked it. I don't know if he just wrote them down. I don't know if he drew them out of a hat. And then he sang for us at the end. So I really got more. I mean, I've already won the league from that cameo, like just the joy that brought me. But he picked us down the line. I should have slipped him an extra 20 and said, keep me in top 4. But
right. What were you? You were 8th and I was 10th or something?
I was 8th.
In a 10-team
Kat
league?
was what? No, I was.
No, you were 8.
Yeah, Tyler, Kat, you, and I. We were 7, 8, 9, 10. We're the married couples were at the bottom of the barrel, according to William Hung. So
I think the funny part about it was you asked him, you had said, hey, draw these names and can you just sing the names? Like make up like a song and sing the names.
He sang his classic song. So
he just drew the names and then sang She
I don't know
Bang
how
at
he
the
picked
end.
the names. I truly don't know. He probably just read them off randomly.
Yeah.
But it was great. So best of luck to everyone doing fantasy. The last place decision is a tough one. We're still cranking that out in a few leagues, but
I'm in one other league.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a different league than I've ever done. It's a survivor league. And some guys like Zach Wheeler. I think Zach Wheeler is the one who maybe got this whole thing started. I don't know. But anyways, it's a cool kind of concept. You draft a team, but you don't play against anyone every week. You're against the whole league. And the goal is to not be the bottom score because the bottom score gets eliminated. So as long as you don't have the lowest score in the league, you move on to the next week. But then the team that gets eliminated, all those players are released and go on waivers and are able to be claimed by the teams that survive. So it's kind of a...
Is there an app that scores this, or is someone scoring this?
It's on ESPN, I guess. That's
wow.
the app I'm doing it on.
That's
but
crazy.
It's pretty wild. And I don't think I've heard of people like say survivor leagues, but I always assumed it was like the other one that we do where you just pick a team every week.
Yeah.
So this one's interesting. And then the way they chose the draft is kind of crazy. There's 18 teams, which is wild. So it was slim pickings in the draft. And they basically just randomly assigned every team a PGA golfer. And based on the score of the tournament, that was the order of the draft. And I don't even remember the name of the golfer I got, but I had the 18th pick.
No way.
Yeah. So, but I survived week 1.
Were you like bottom, or you were?
No,
I guess
I think I was
matter.
right in the middle, but it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, best of luck to everyone and all their fantasy leagues. Everyone taking it very seriously. I love it. Fall is here, and it's just the best time of year. It's the best time when like all the sports are going, right?
it is.
Like everything starts going all at once, and it's just the best.
Do you want to talk about the parlay idea? Because I think that's pretty cool too.
Sure. Yeah.
I know we're really going on
Yeah,
in on
I know.
fantasy here.
We are,
but
yeah. Hopefully people are into fantasy. Yeah,
so
share it.
our hitting coach with the Mariners, Tommy Joseph, who's also in the Survivor League, he's the one who invited me. He told me about this idea that he does in his family league. And basically, I guess they do it every week. Every team puts in $5, and then you pick why am I blanking?
A leg of a parlay.
You pick a leg of a parlay.
Which, for people that don't know what a leg of a parlay is, for example, you would say, I don't know, Tua will get 2 rushing touchdowns, right?
Right.
Or like someone will run for 140 yards or something like that.
Right.
So just like a specific stat that they will achieve that week.
But the rule is, and the kicker is, you have to pick a player on your fantasy team. So if there's 10 teams in the league, I pick, and I have Tua, and Kourt has McCaffrey.
I do not.
I know you don't. We're just saying.
I know, but he's out for a couple
Hypothetical.
weeks, so I don't want people to think I'm struggling over here.
So everyone puts $5 in. So on a 10-team league, you have a $50 parlay, and I would say I'm betting on Tua having 2 passing touchdowns, and Kourt would say I'm betting on Christian McCaffrey to have 2 rushing touchdowns. And then you have 10 legs of the parlay. Everyone only puts in $5. And if they all hit, which obviously would help your fantasy team because you're betting on your guys to do well, right?
Or
if they all hit, you take the money from the bet and you add it into the prize at the end of the year. Or you can add it into high score every week or however you want to do it. But I thought it was a really cool idea.
I know. I want to try it. I want to get people on board, even if we just do it like 1 or 2 weeks. But I feel like if you do it 1 week and a bunch of them hit and you come close, like people will want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I think you go for
the props. That's kind what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Like you go for like realistic bets, I think.
Right.
Like obviously you want to like shoot for the stars, but I think even if you just hit a 10-leg parlay,
right,
like it's going to be a pretty juicy prize, right?
100%.
Yeah. So let us know if you try it out.
Just a thought.
I don't think we can do it in Washington, and you can't do it in California. So
I know.
You'd have to have like
your sister's got to do it in Indiana.
Yeah, she'd have to place it over in the Midwest where sports betting is allowed.
Yep.
Someday it'll be allowed. I don't know. Someday soon. Okay, well, let's shift gears and talk about how we got to Seattle.
Oh.
We're in Seattle. We started in Toronto.
It was just a snap of the fingers.
Yeah,
when we were here, you know?
Yeah, we're just it was not a snap of the finger to get here. I was gonna say, yeah, we just
maybe for me
here. It was actually yes, it was for you. You snapped your fingers 100%.
No.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, so
I had to go to Boston first.
Poor baby. Are you okay?
This is your segment. I'll let you go over it because it's you.
Okay, so obviously we are kind of midway through the season. I'm very pregnant, obviously, and I see a tweet initially that someone sent me, or I don't know, it came up on something that said that the Blue Jays had intentions to move these players, X, Y, Z, da, 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 da. Your name was in there. I don't think it was like a huge surprise. Obviously, like the team wasn't doing that well at the time, and you're on a 1-year deal. And I think anytime a player is on a 1-year deal, you think you have a chance to move, right? I think that's pretty fair.
Yep.
And so everyone started sending that to us, and the wheels just start turning. Like, okay, when would that be? Like I was actually due July 19th. And so trade deadline was end of the month?
Yep.
So I was like, okay, realistically, you could get traded. I think you can obviously get traded the weeks leading up, but majority of trades do go down in that last 72 hours, I would say is pretty fair. So
yeah,
kind of wrapping our heads around like you getting traded like a week or so after I have the baby. So I don't know what your initial thoughts were when you saw the tweet or how you wanted to handle. I mean, I know how you handled it, but obviously other people don't know how you handled it.
Yeah, I think obviously, like you said, on a 1-year contract, the Blue Jays obviously weren't playing up to the expectations that we had at the beginning of the season. So they actually called me in the office and they said, hey, look, like we're trying to move pretty much anyone on an expiring contract, and there are several teams interested. We're going to do everything we can, but it's not a slam dunk. Like there's, always stuff that has to happen with every team for it to work. So I'm not going to tell you it's 100%, but we're trying. So definitely had an idea, and it was definitely on the radar. And when you go to a new organization, when I signed with the Blue Jays, and this is what I told, I said, I totally understand you guys have, your future of the organization that you got to look out for, and want to rebuild the minor league system and do whatever you can. And obviously my intentions to sign here were to make the playoffs and win a World Series. But if I can still help the organization get better by you guys trading me and getting a prospect or getting someone back, I'm totally on board with it, and I totally get it. So that was kind of where I was at. And then, after you hear that, the wheels start spinning, and you try not to read the rumors and Twitter and everything that's going on, because the reality is you still have games to play. I'm still on the Blue Jays. I still am going out there competing, trying to win games. There's still pitchers who are trying to win and guys who are trying to, get their numbers and stuff. So to be selfish and worry about where I'm getting traded is not. Moon's knocking on the door,
like
trying to get
a sliding
in the
door into the office, and it's open well enough for her tiny body to sneak through, but she just went up and just pushed it more. So
not a girl, Mom.
She's just making her way. That's all.
So anyways, yeah, just, you still got to go out and play and try to not think about it. And, then it happened.
And I think we also said, because you kind of talked to me about it and obviously our own situation. I know that when it comes to baseball, like they really, not to say that organizations don't care about your own situation, but I told you, like, I don't want us having a baby to be a factor. Like, I don't want teams to think like, oh, well, we should just keep Justin here if we want to move him because they're having a baby. And not to say that that's even like a consideration, but I think you did mention like, hey, if this is what you're going to do, like, obviously I know Kourt's in this situation, but like, that's not really a factor, right? I think that's fair to say. And I don't know. I don't think it really matters. Like, I don't.
Yeah, that
if
was.
You're getting moved. You're getting moved. I think it was more just to like verbalize it for us. Like, hey, this could happen, and this is what's happening. And obviously, there's a whole layer of moving with the baby being in a different country and all of that. So,
well, I think the idea was just to be open and upfront and honest about where we were at, because, with the experience last year with the Red Sox at the trade deadline and having conversations with the former GM, and he literally asked, is like, what do you think? Like, do you like it here? Like, are you enjoying it? And obviously I was enjoying it. Like, we loved everything about Boston. We loved playing there. And I was like, man, I love it here. Like, it's unbelievable. The atmosphere is great. And was hoping that we would be able to add some pieces. And I think at the end of it, it was, my messaging was taken as, please don't trade me. We love it here, and my wife loves it here, and we love the city. And it wasn't necessarily, that's not necessarily what I was trying to say. I was saying that we do love the city, and it is an awesome place to play. And hopefully we're going to have some additions at the deadline that can help us get there. Because at the time we only had 3 healthy starting pitchers.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it kind of I wasn't very like clear or direct, and it kind of was, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm not saying that I wanted to be traded,
right,
or what, but
and I don't even know how much like a personal thing comes into it, or like your opinion. And obviously we always value like open communication. You don't always get it, I think, in situations in anyone's profession. Like, you don't always have that choice,
right,
and that say. And so I think, yeah, who knows, like looking at last year, like things come out after of like, oh, you were almost traded, or, oh, this almost happened. And like, right, you don't know what the actual factor was. But I think this year, like just saying like, hey, don't just be like, hey, Kourt's like a a real one. Like she'll figure shit out and she'll get it done. Like don't
that was the messaging.
Worry about it. Like it wasn't like, oh, trade us or don't trade us or this. It's just kind of like, hey, I know this could possibly be a factor. So just a heads up, like we're good and we're
exactly
whatever you guys need. Like that's at the end of the day, like what we're down for. Like it's part of it. And I think going through, I mean, what is this, our 13th season that we've been together? Like, I think there's really only been 2 seasons where I thought it was a possibility that you would be traded. We were very, very spoiled, very lucky to like stay in the same spot for so long, almost a decade. And you always see those situations and names pop up when like everything's going on TV. And I always think, okay, you think of the trade, but then I immediately think, oh my gosh, they have 3 kids, or oh my gosh, they just started school, or oh my gosh, this or that or this. Like I always think of like the personal aspect of it. And we really had a doozy of a season to like, we picked a season to have a baby. Like it was a different country, new team, trade right in the middle of it. But yeah, like we were finally part of kind of that like rumblings around the trade deadline. It was kind of just, it was building and building, and you hear like names of teams. And we even said like, cause you were like, what do I do? Like, and I was like, well, it's like silly to go on like Zillow and look at like places to live in these cities and start to like, cause you have no idea. Like I don't know. I guess there's like, do you want to be prepared? And then it comes out like that Yimi Garcia is, like packed his whole house a week before. Like, I think he said like, oh, I knew I was getting traded.
Yeah,
like,
all my stuff was packed.
Yeah. Like he was like, I packed everything and we were ready to go. And so when I got the call, like I was out, I was gone. I was like, oh my gosh, like, should I be packing? What should I be doing? But we just I definitely did not pack. I definitely did not prepare. I definitely didn't look at any housing.
Well, I feel like that's a question that always comes up too. Like people are like, oh, do you get to pick? Do you get to pick where you get traded, or did you know where you were going? And I mean, I think we kind of vaguely touched on it, but like the truth is there's some players that have like a no trade clause, or they only have a list of certain teams that they're willing to be traded to. And that's something that's negotiated in their deals when they sign.
Yeah.
But for most guys, there's no say. You can't go in there and be like, hey, I want to get traded. Send me to the all-star team over there, you know? And
you can waive that, right? Like even if it's in there, like they can say, hey,
the no trade.
Yeah. Cause I think guys have had like, oh, I won't go to LA before. And then it's happened where they like convince them, or
it can be waived.
They can waive it. Yeah.
So the team would come and say, hey, look, I know this team is on your no trade, but they're very interested in you. Like, would you be willing to waive? And then obviously that player would talk to his agent and figure out whatever the moves are. And usually that creates some leverage for the player to say, hey, look, I'll waive my no trade to go here, but this team is going to have to do something for me, whether that's an extension or whatever. So there's definitely all kinds of things that go into it, but no one knows where they're getting traded or who they're getting traded. And you can't go in and say, I want to get traded here and don't trade me there, because that's not how it works. It's the organization trading the player is trying to get the best prospect or player back for that player, regardless of what organization they're in. So just to clarify that, we don't know.
Okay. So for our situation, it turned out the trade deadline was going to be when you're on the road. You were in Baltimore.
Well,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the last couple of days were on the road in Baltimore, which
is where you made your debut. So you just came full circle.
Yeah.
So I'm back in Toronto. I am with my mom and my sister, and we're at the zoo. I was like in the process of like feeding a giraffe. It was a lovely experience. I get in the car, and then you sent me a text and you said, I think I just got traded. But like the game was going on. Like I had the game on the radio, and I want to say what was happening in the game? Someone just got like fully hit in the face.
Yeah, McCann.
And then he gets on first, which you're playing first.
Yep.
And then like next inning, like you're not out there, and then I get the text from you. So what was your experience in that moment?
So it was interesting. We got to Baltimore. We were making up a rain out. So it was a doubleheader I think it was a Monday maybe, and go out for the first inning of the first game. I think I actually got a hit in the top of the first.
Good, you left on a high note, baby.
And then go out to play defense. It was a rough first inning. Our pitcher didn't even make it out of the first inning, and his last pitch he threw, he actually hit McCann in the face. I'm sure you guys, if you watch baseball, have seen he's still wearing a mask because he broke multiple bones in his face.
What a boss, though. He stayed in that game.
He stayed in the game. It was crazy. When he got to first, eventually, his whole left eye was like swollen shut. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I thought he was just going to run the bases and give Adley, their other catcher, a chance to like get loose because he probably wasn't ready for this. He stayed in and caught the whole game, which I didn't know because after that inning ended, I went in the dugout and I get tapped on the shoulder by our clubhouse guy. And he's like, hey, you got to go upstairs and call Ross. And I was like, oh, wow, it just happened. Like I got traded.
I did not think you would come out of the game before McCann would come out of the game.
Right.
Like, honestly.
Me either. So I run upstairs, get my phone. I actually called Ross a couple times and he wasn't answering. So I didn't know what was going on. But finally get a hold of him, and he informs me that I've been traded to the Mariners. And at that point, just a billion things start going through my mind. I text you, let you know, or called you. I don't remember if I texted or called you.
You text me first, and then you said, I think I just got traded, but I don't know where.
Oh, that's right. I texted you before I even called.
So there
Ross.
was like 10 minutes of like, where are we going? And yeah.
And obviously get a hold of my agent, let him know what's going on. He had no idea. So the agents don't even know. And then, you just start trying to figure everything out. And, you get some phone calls from people with the Mariners. They let us know, hey, we've traded. We're excited to have you, blah, 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 blah. We're in Boston right now. James Paxton is starting against us tomorrow. We would love for you to be in Boston tomorrow night to be in the starting lineup. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
At least they're in Boston. That's close. I'm in Baltimore. I said, you know what, dude? Because they started like naming off flights. They're like, we can fly you out tomorrow morning at 8. We can fly you at 9, 10. I said, dude, it's like 1:45 here. I was like, I can go back to the hotel, pack up my stuff, and get on a flight tonight.
Yeah.
And just get in tonight. And they were like, really? Okay, give us a couple minutes and we'll get you a flight, da-da-da. So I go back out in the dugout and obviously let everyone know what happened and you hug everyone. Everyone's on hug watch and whatnot and tell them where I'm going and say thank you to everyone. And then I went back in the clubhouse, showered, packed up all my stuff. And one of the clubbies actually drove me in his car to the hotel so I could pack up my stuff at the hotel and went straight to the airport, jumped on a plane. So got into Boston. Got to the hotel. The Mariners were unbelievable. I got to my hotel room and there was like a full on like 3 different main course dinners like in my room because I hadn't eaten, and they were like, hey, wanted to make sure you got food and yada,
it was
yada,
like
yada.
the best. It was like a dairy-free delight of like buffalo wings, like a pasta dish, like asparagus. I was like, dang.
Yeah, it was good. So
maybe this isn't
it started on a
so
good note.
Stressful. Yeah.
Started on a good note.
Yeah, for sure. So on my end, obviously I'm back in Toronto. We're in a situation where Bo is a dual citizen, and with that comes a lot of like appointments and tracking things down before you're actually able to leave the country. So I think on your end, it was like kind of like, okay, let's figure out housing. Obviously the team puts you up in a hotel in Seattle for the time being and allows you to get settled there. And then
keep going. I'm going to grab them.
on my end, it was more like, okay, I have to figure out his citizenship stuff. So thankfully, before all this went down, we had a paper notarized in Canada which a notary in Canada, you can't just be like Susan at Chase Bank. Like you have to be an attorney or like some sort of like a professional to have a notary. So it's like not that easy to get. So we're able to track one down and then it's the whole thing now. We're able to track one down and get a sheet that allowed me to do all of the things I needed to do without you present, which was huge to get that done before, or else like it would have been a whole thing. Like I guess you could have probably done it on the road and then sent it back to me. But so I just immediately start like hustling to get appointments, like getting his Canadian passport was actually pretty easy. Like obviously he's born there. Like was pretty cut and dry, I would say. Waiting on the birth certificate. The birth certificate initially online said it was going to be 6 weeks maybe, but I called them to check on the status and they're like, oh, actually it already printed out and it's being mailed out. So that was pretty easy. And that was kind of like the key to the kingdom was like having the birth certificate. So getting his Canadian passport, you have to show proof that you are in need of a passport quickly. So I actually booked a flight for us. I didn't know if we were going to take it, but I booked a flight for us to go to you, and then went in with the flight and said, we're traveling, have to go see dad. And I was granted a next day passport, which was wonderful, and got that. But the real kicker was the US passport was a challenge getting an appointment at the consulate in Toronto. So I was like racking my brain, like thinking, like, who can help me get this appointment? And the Blue Jays like didn't have a contact there. They said they could maybe get an appointment. Like I had an appointment for, I want to say 2 weeks later.
Yeah, it was like 10 days.
I think it was August like 13th. And they said, okay, we can get you, the Blue Jays said we can get you an appointment like the 7th. Thinking, okay, that's a whole week of waiting. And then at that appointment, I don't know how long it will take to get the passport. So I reached out to our friend Cheryl, who works with the Dodgers. And she has a bunch of wonderful connections. And she reached out to someone that she knew and just said, hey, we have someone here that, you know, obviously needs to get to her husband. Like they have a newborn and they're struggling to get an appointment, and we're able to get in. I went in the next day and I went in with everything. I had like more paperwork, more like proof of everything that I could possibly need. Cause it was like, we need proof of like every time you've left the country or how much, we need like your mortgage statements. We need bank statements. We need all of this, that. I ended up like not needing like any of it. It was very like, it was fine. Like the interview was very simple.
Super casual.
Yeah. And they ended up doing like an emergency passport. And I just picked it up the next day. I feel like I'm making this all sound like it was very simple. It was a journey. Like it was a lot. And mind you, like
stressful.
Toronto traffic is like, these places were maybe like 7 miles from our house, but like to get to downtown from our house, it's like an hour drive. So like going there and back and like doing all this with Bo, like obviously being like 3 weeks old at this point, was quite a task. But I just knew like I had to get it done. And I actually really kind of like pretend I'm like on The Amazing Race a little bit, if I'm honest with you. Like I have to like do all these little challenges and all of that. I like tasks that I can go after. Once I had the appointments, I feel like it was fine. And I was just grateful for everything to work out and to get everything we needed. And then it was, okay, make an appointment at the pediatrician before we leave to get all of his paperwork to transfer to a new pediatrician in a new city, and make sure he was good to go. And then it was time to, dun, 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 pack up the house.
I was going to say,
which was my nightmare. You were on the road, and I think initially you thought, okay, I might be able to come back that next day, or
because we had an off day.
Yeah, I might be able to, come back on the off day when you guys were flying back to Seattle, right? I think it was Boston to Seattle. But the flights were just a mess. And we know from when initially I gave birth and you were going to Seattle, that flights are just, it's not easy. It's not a short flight. It's like 5+ hours. If delays happen, all of that, I was just like, I did that thing where I say like, it's fine, just go. But like, really it wasn't fine. And like, you shouldn't have went, but no, I was like, I've got this. And then I just like cried to myself. Mind you, I'm like still recovering, like still doing all this. My mom was up there with me. So she was able to like help out, you know, in whatever things I needed. But Haley with your agency Vayner was able to get a moving company. And initially they're like, okay, we can come by like in a week and pack it up, or like 10 days and help pack it up. And it was like, can you do it tomorrow, or can you do it? Right. And then she ends up getting the appointment. She's like, okay, they're coming at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And that happened to be when I had a passport appointment. And so what do? I think, okay, well, my mom can be at home and be there when the movers get there, which I have never hired movers, which probably comes as a shock with like how old we are, that like we've never had a moving company like come in and move our stuff.
Right.
But like I didn't know how it worked. But I guess for this company, they come in and they pack up your stuff for you, which is quite lovely actually. All those years of just like throwing my stuff in a car and doing it ourselves. So I have my appointment in the morning and I think, how am I going to because my mom doesn't really know what I'm taking with me, because I'm still kind of like saying to you that I like might fly, but like I was never going to fly. I was always going to drive. So it was a matter of like, what do I need on my person for me, the dogs, and Bo? I shouldn't have listed Bo last. I should have listed him first, but all of us are important. Like, what do I need that I have to have with me? And what can I send on a moving truck that is going to have to go through customs, going to have to do a full cross-country drive? I think they initially quoted like 2 to 3 weeks for it to get there. So like, what do I need for the next 2-3 weeks?
How can I get by?
Yeah. So I take the little mini Post-it notes and I just go around the entire house. I think it took me 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, every single drawer, everything in the house, like every pile of everything. And I put like pack or leave. And I just went around. Our house looked like a garage sale, and it was like every little item. And they actually said like they showed up the next morning and I was so nervous. My mom's like, they love your system. Oh, and mind you, when you go into the consulate, you can't have your cell phone. So like my mom is at the house doing all of this and I can't even like hear from her. So if they got there and they had questions about whatever, like I can't call for help.
Hopefully
They even
Tina does it right.
I even had a like little sound machine on his car seat, and they were like, does this have Bluetooth? And they made me put it in a bush outside the consulate. They're like, oh, that's the bush that people use to like hide their item. I saw a lady put her cell phone in there. I'm like, oh, this seems safe. But so yeah, hid that, and they ended up like loving the system. I get back to the house and they're just like cruising through the house and all of that, and they leave. It takes them like several hours. They pack up the truck. The truck is like to the max. Like obviously it's like very
Rigby's like
Rigby
I don't know
wants
what he's doing.
everyone to know that he's here.
Hey,
So the truck is full, and then we're shipping our car, one of our cars. So I fill that. The porch goose makes it in there for anyone that was concerned. And I'm just throwing like bedding, like everything in there. And then that is full. Like everything is fully Tetrised. And then I think, okay, I guess we'll leave tomorrow. We'll get on the road and we'll do the drive. I look it up. It's 39 hours, which means it's actually like 45 when you really drive it. It's all a lie whenever you map it out. Don't believe it. You have to add so much time. And then I go to pack our car, and we have a pretty big SUV. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be able to get all the rest of the stuff in here. And obviously moving truck already took off. The shipped car is already packed, and I get dog's crate in there. I get Bo's car seat, his stroller. I get the dog seats in there because obviously they have to be like in their car seats for the drive. And then I get my suitcase in there, my mom's suitcase in there, and like a bunch of like baby stuff, like Bo's clothes, like his travel crib, like his changing pad, all of these things. And we're stuffed completely. Like the goose is cooked. Like it is done. Like and I'm looking in the house, I'm like, and I think I text you, I'm like, babe, I'm so screwed. Like I have so much more stuff than I thought about. And so I just am like, I don't know. All of these things that I'm doing, I'm just like, I don't have a choice. I have to just figure it out. So like every little crevice of that car, like in the dog's car seats, there's like kind of like a donut hole that like the seatbelt goes in. Like I'm putting like spatulas in there. I'm putting like like I'm putting like stuff, like my mom has stuff at her feet. Like she has like my pumps for milk, like on her lap in a carton, and she's like, it's fine. I was like, for 40 hours, like for days, but like, she was like, it's great. Like, honestly, it was like just surrounded by everything to the point where we leave and I'm like getting to the border crossing and I'm thinking, if this person asks for me to open, which it's very common, like going into the States that they ask you to open, they have you roll down a window normally and then they'll ask you to open the back. I'm just thinking like, oh my gosh, if she moves one thing, it is like Jenga back there. Like she like slides out the wrong thing.
It's over.
I'm toast. And so I pull up and I have the travel letter, which the Blue Jays were great with that, like writing up a letter saying like, I will be traveling with our infant son without you. Like we are moving. I had his emergency passport. I had his Canadian passport, which I think seeing the emergency passport, they obviously wouldn't have issued that if we didn't need to leave. And she obviously saw that it was like issued the day before. So she's like, oh, you guys are moving. And I was like, yeah, my husband got traded. Da, 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 da. She's like, can you roll down the window? And she rolls down the window. And it's just Rigby like sitting there, and he's like, I was like, oh my gosh, don't bark, like don't growl, like just please like pull it together for this stop. And he just kind of looks and she goes, oh, roll that up. I don't want him to jump out. And I was like, okay, test number 1 passed. And then she's like, okay, did you send all your stuff in a moving truck? And I was like, yeah, we just have like our stuff on us that we needed.
Right.
And she's like, all right, drive safe. And I was like, bless you. Like, I think she just saw like new mom, like she saw the baby. She saw my mom had like cartons on her lap and was like struggling over there. And I was like, okay, we made it. And then we just went, and it was 4.5 days of driving. I think the hard part is normally when I do these drives, I just go on like Airbnb and I rent a house that has like the keypad, and you just like pull up to the house at any hour. You obviously tell them when you're getting there, but we've gotten in at 2 a.m. before. And they give you like the keypad for the door, and you get in, and like just everything is fine. On this journey, like there were no Airbnbs. It was crazy. So I'm like calling you while I'm driving saying, hey, can you try to find us a hotel that will like, is there room at the inn for a mom, a baby, her mom, and 2 dogs, which normally hotels, it's either 1 dog or no dogs or this whole thing. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I can't even tell you what we saw on the drive, what we did on the drive. Like it's all just a blur, but you were calling these places being like, my wife's coming. She has our dogs. Like, can you book a room? And every place was sold out. Remember?
Yeah.
We're like, is there some sort of like a game going on? Like a convention? I don't know. It was like, there would be times.
Montana, right? Montana was tough.
Yeah. Even I think I went through Minnesota, North Dakota.
Right.
I was checking off states on my journey to 50, but it was wild. There were some where like there was just nothing, and you were calling like all the hotels are like, I'm fully booked. I'm fully booked. I'm fully booked. And it was insane. Like there was some where like I was calling like 5 or 6, you were calling all of them, and it was like, there was nothing. So I was like, okay, we might be sleeping at a truck stop, or we might be sleeping.
We got it done.
Yeah. And you would find one. And there was actually one where they were like, oh yeah, we accept dogs. And then I'm like loading out the next day. I have the luggage cart. I need to post this photo of my luggage cart that I felt like I was on the like bobsled team where I had to get like a running start to push this whole thing down the hallway with all of our stuff on it. And the hotel manager like corners me in the elevator and is like, are you the one with the dogs? And I was like, yes, sir. I'm loading out right now. What's up? And he was like, yeah, I have to charge you $400 because you have dogs. And I was like, okay, well, I'm actually leaving right now. So hold that thought, and we're not going to actually charge me $400. I'm going to exit the hotel in about 10 minutes, and we're going to pretend this whole interaction did not happen, because my husband called last night and approved the 2 dogs, and we're actually getting out of here right now. Yep. And he like stepped closer. It was like I was like, sir, please, I have a family. But he would not give up. And so I was actually like making sure there were no charges like coming through on our credit card. He never charged me. I would have done a chargeback. He had no argument, but I was like, please don't harass me on the first night. But 4 nights of Groundhog's Day, just like drive, get in, unload, sleep what we could sleep, load back up, get back on the road, like stopping to feed, stopping to get food, like stopping to pump. Like it was an adventure. My mom was my co-pilot, my road warrior, getting everything ready for me with pumps and all that, and being on schedule, and it was good. I arrived here and I think I was just like a shell of a human. I was just so happy. And then the first night, I think you said you woke me up in the middle of the night and you're like, babe, are you going to pump? And I just said no. Yeah. I just slept through the whole night and I was so tired. And it actually took me like, I feel like a full week to really recover. And it was a lot. It's not for the weak at all. And I remember posting the video of getting in and being like, wow, this was great. Like, we got to see you, and like Bo was happy, and everyone was safe, and we were in our new place, and everyone responded like, you were absolutely insane for driving. But it didn't make sense for me to get on a flight. And obviously the amount of stuff that I had, like getting that on a plane, like it just didn't make sense. It made sense to just pack the car as much as I could. And I think you were probably impressed with how much I got in that car though, because you were unloading it.
I was impressed with how much you got in the car. And then the other thing is, it's one thing to do a 38, 40-hour drive where you're getting in and you're going to sleep and you're sleeping your 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever you need to function as a human being. But you were doing it and waking up every 3 hours. You were sleeping in, well, not even 3 hours. Bo eats every 3 hours. So you're getting 2-hour naps in the middle of it and then driving. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I was more worried that you were going to be so exhausted and driving the whole time than anything. So you truly are a rock star. You're
so far away now.
Sorry.
I'm just losing you. Thank you. No.
Yeah, it was.
I will say we packed, like I said, we packed everything into one season. Like I just really, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it big. And we did the move, and the drive was actually beautiful. Like that I got to go through Billings, where you played for a moment in your career, and got to go through Coeur d'Alene in Idaho, which was beautiful. And it was just good. It was an easy drive. It wasn't like city. So, but we're here, and next time we'll have to chat about like your new team and what that's like going into a new clubhouse and getting acclimated. I know it's easy for you because you're Mr. Social, but yeah, we're here and we're excited, and it's beautiful here. And
I know, I feel like there's so much we have to catch up on and talk about.
Sure.
For our little layoff that we had. But.
No, for sure. But that is actually going to do it for today's episode. Give you a friendly reminder to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, especially when we're doing them spontaneously like this. You don't want to miss it. And we're also on YouTube. So if you're not already watching our episodes, you can do that. Make sure you're leaving comments on there. And then if you listen on Apple or Spotify, make sure you're leaving a review because we love reading them.
Yeah, we do. She actually does go through and read them all. So
yeah,
say hi.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bum 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 bum.